Oh God, so I just made a whole video thinking I was talking to people and it just had me breathing weird. I don't know what that's up with that, but so so I'm just talking about bonding, all right, and keeping the family together because, part of their agenda is to like remove the father or the mother from and disturb the family. So my whole thing has always been just to expose whatever I need to expose and like to try to rekindle my relationship with my children and my family. So, not just my children, just my family. So anyways, we're talking about how I was bonding with my daughter, right? And she wants to watch this show alone, okay? And we're talking about like the survival techniques and stuff. Well, these people need to learn more about plants, okay? Because like the men eat a lot of meat and stuff, but they didn't have like plants to put in with it. Like, okay, so they're eating like a squirrel, but instead of taking the squirrel and making a stew with like other plants, just eating the squirrel. I mean, which is fine, but I would think it would be better if it was like with plants. So a lot of the guys didn't do that well. They were eating beaver and they ended up getting really sick. All right, a couple guys tapped out because they got this bacteria from the beaver, even though they cooked it really well, which is weird. Okay, so I don't know if you guys are familiar with the show, but I like it. And so anyways, there was a guy that had a stomach ache, all right? So he's like, well, I'm going to go get some bark, and I'm going to boil the bark and make a tea. And that actually helped him. And I was thinking, and I was saying to my daughter, why don't these people use pine needle tea? Because pine needle tea has so much good properties in it, and it does have nutrition and stuff, and it has a lot of good things in it. But nobody was doing that in the show, okay? There was one lady that was a herbalist, and she was making something out of berries for the winter. Okay, now I'm thinking, and another lady spent a lot of time on her shelter, like too much time. And she worked so hard on her shelter that she ended up getting sick. So it's like you have to do things in increments. And I think this is why the men are probably better at it, because the women are focusing on like one thing, like the shelter or the food, when you have to do it like in increments. So like maybe in the morning, sustain yourself in the morning, get as much protein, whatever you can get your hands on, so you can work throughout the day, and then you don't feel so tired that you can't get food later in the day. Because this woman that made this really nice shelter, she tapped out because she ended up she couldn't get any food. She didn't work on her food. So the main priority for me, if it was me, I would get as much fish as possible, okay? These people should have been fishing like every single friggin' day, all right? Store the fish. You can store the fish in the ground. It's probably cool enough. Or cook it all, whatever you got to do. But, yeah, they weren't, like, top priority is, all right, it's food, shelter, water, fire. All right, so some of the guys were really smart because they built a cook stove inside of their shelter, which is really important. So the men had really nice shelters. Her shelter was really nice, but she worked on it so hard because I think she wanted it to be, good for the winter, that she wore herself out making it. And I don't know, it's an interesting show, but my daughter gets mad at me because I get so excited and I'm like, why don't they hunt for plants? There was a guy that did go and get yarrow for his stomach problems, but a lot of these people were tapping out because they ended up getting either too weak, they couldn't sustain their body weight, they got too weak because they didn't get food, or the bacteria of the water or whatever they were eating took them out. So, yeah, it's an interesting show, but I guess people thought I was like survival girl because I lived in my truck. Let me tell you something, okay? Until you're homeless, if you're homeless for a short period of time, or I worked through it all, but you'll learn to like really appreciate anything that you get in your life after that. You'll never take anything for granted ever again. Seriously. And it teaches a lot of lessons, all right? I don't know if I could eat a chipmunk or a squirrel, a little red squirrel, because I love them. And the birds, I don't know. It would be hard for me to kill every day. A fish, I have no problem with that. So my main thing would be stocking up on fish. But anyhow, that's a really good show. We've been watching it. Winter's going to be brutal. These people are like not preparing for winter like they should be. I don't know. But winter, I'd be tapping out in winter for sure.